everyone, welcome back to Bookish. We've taken a little hiatus because I've been super busy, but finally I was able to schedule time to meet with my roommate, Emma. Emma is, do you want to introduce yourself with like maybe a book you're reading or your favorite book?
Oh, okay. Well, hi, I'm Emma. I just finished the Divine Rivals series, and that's like definitely one of my favorite books that I've read now.
Yeah, we read that for my book club, but Emma read it separately, and it, with good reason, is really good. Everybody loved it in the club. But today, speaking of books, we're going to be talking a little bit about writing, because Emma and I are both really interested in writing, and like, you're more interested in like movies and screenwriting, but also books too. I'm not really good at the screenwriting stuff or know very much about it, so I think that'll be kind of like a cool perspective to talk about. But something I've wanted to do for a while was just talk about writing, and I talk about it here and there with people, but I feel like because we both like it, we both like understand what it's like from the other side a little bit. Not that I'm a published author yet, I wish, but I kind of think it'll be interesting to talk about like processes and like things like character names and just whatever. So I kind of wanted to start by, I guess, asking maybe what like your inspiration is, or like where you feel like you get inspiration to write or like ideas, because we were talking about that. I have a creative writing class right before this. It's like the 400 level, like last one. And we were just talking about like where we get our inspiration, so I feel like that's a good question to ask you.
I feel like I've always been inspired to write, but like Susan Collins and the Hunger Games series, I definitely think is like my biggest writing inspiration. And I think that's why I love writing dystopian so much, because I think that's such a fun genre to write.
Yeah, I'm reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes right now, and like, I feel like if I hadn't watched the movie, I don't know what I would have thought about it, but picturing Coriolanus as Tom Blythe, I'm like, it's easy to get, like, it's taken me a long time to read this book, but like, every time I read it, I'm like not bored, I guess. It's kind of like a weird thing. So you like dystopian. Emma's also writing something. You don't have to like share the plot, because I don't want to share the plot of mine either, because I hate that. But like, I guess for me, maybe my inspiration, I feel like, is like, I'm really interested in Roman stories, so like telling ancient stories. So like the synopsis, I guess, of my book, I don't want to like give it away, but it's like a girl from ancient Rome meets an archaeologist from the future. It's kind of like what it is about. So I loved all things Roman, and like I'm taking Roman classes and stuff. But I guess a question I like to ask also is like characters. So like, what is your process, I feel like, when you're approaching your character? So like in your book, how do you approach like writing this character? Did she just like come to you in your head, or did she like, you built her up, or like what's your process?
I feel like definitely part of it, they come to me, but I also think I get inspiration from like some of my favorite characters in like shows and movies and stuff. That's also how I come up with their names. Either that, or I'm like, what would I want to name my children? And then let me name my book characters.
Yeah, like the 100. Do you want to say that? Like, how's your... I don't want to, like, make you tell the plot, like, because I hate doing that. But, like, isn't it... You're kind of, like, inspired by the 100.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, like, the 100 meets, like, the fifth wave.
Yeah.
That's, like,
what's
the
the fifth wave about? That's basically a book, too, right?
Yeah, it's a book. I haven't read the book, but I've watched the movie, and it's just, like, the world falls apart, and there's, like, 5 different waves of how it falls apart. I know one is, like, disease, natural disasters. I forget, like, the rest of it.
Isn't the one girl... What's the girl's name in it? She's really famous. She was in, like, If I Stay, right?
I can, like, picture her. I forget her name,
What's
though. What is her name?
I don't know. I know Dylan O'Brien had a crush on her, I think. Don't ask me why I know that, because I love Dylan O'Brien. But, like, I don't know why I know. What is her name? But anyways, I know who you're talking about. Is there any, like, I guess, when I think of character names, I feel like I think of, like, how they are going to be. Like, I love being sneaky with character names, so like that's something I always look at like the baby name lists, and I know that's what a lot of authors do, because it's just like, how else are you supposed to think of names? But I like to look at like my main girl character's name is Nielle, like Nielle. No relation to anything. I don't know why I came up with that.
I like that name, though. It's
there's
pretty.
no reason. How'd you get your character names?
I think I looked up names just like that, but I was like, dystopian names.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do like basic names. I think we're both blessed with very basic names.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Olivia and
if you
Emma.
look at like the
I think
top
it's like
10,
1 and 2,
yeah,
literally.
like top 10 most popular names are probably both on there.
Yeah, I think I looked at Olivia recently, and it's crazy because like I don't know about Emma, but I just know the history of Olivia because like it's my name and I'm just like self-centered. But I looked it up, and Livia is one, like Livia is a Roman name, so I'm like ooh. But it goes back. It's like every nation has Olivia. I feel like, and every like it's just like it's preserved through time and it's prevailed. But now I feel like it's associated with like girls who are annoying and like blonde, which is me. So whatever.
Did you like look up the meaning of your name?
You know, one time I looked up one and it was like a lot of it's just like olives or like of olive trees and stuff like that. But one time I looked up something and it was like elf army. Fuck you, okay? I'm not very tall, but like that was a little on the nose for me. Like, isn't that so weird? I'm like someone just came up with that and just lied to me. I don't know.
Was it on Urban Dictionary?
Probably. Like, I don't even know. If I looked it up now, I don't know if I'd be able to find it. It was like something we were doing in a group. We were in you don't need context, but like there was a group of something we were doing, and it was like a camp thing, and like the counselors like looked up each of our names and the definitions, and then they picked Elf Army, I think, for me, because like that probably for sure was not the first one that came up. It was definitely like olive tree, because that's just what it is. But they had to like dig for that one. I feel like Elf Army, like that's so rude.
That's like the first one that pops up.
That's so rude. But I know that they did that.
Mine is like whole or universal, and so like my ego when I read that I was like whole or universal.
Yes. So your character's name is Noah, and
that's the main guy. Yeah.
What's the girl's name again?
The girl's name is Aria.
Aria.
I just love that name.
Yeah.
I actually think it was inspired by a girl that was on Dance Moms, because like she came on the show and I was like, oh my god, I love the name Aria. That's gonna be my main character's name. So. Shout out to Dance Moms.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of, like, it's really hard finding character names of people I don't know. My main guy's name is Briar, just because, like, it just kind of came to me. It didn't, like, necessarily, like, mean anything, I guess, but then I saw something on TikTok, because I don't scroll on TikTok anymore because people just irritate me and spoil things in books, but, like, one girl is, like, introducing my book characters, and it's all like AI images of her characters, which is whatever in its own, but like her main guy's name was Briar, and I was like, I'm deleting this app, like that's mine, you can't take it. Like,
you comment like, get this out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, take this down. But I don't know,
I used to name my characters after all my friends, and even like make their personalities the same. So one of my friends, her name was Morgan, and she used to always like cut her grapes in eighths at lunch every day. So I even wrote that in the book, and I was like, I see this girl sitting over there and she's cutting all of her grapes in eighths and then eating them.
So fun fact about Emma, on Wattpad you were famous way back when, right?
Not Wattpad.
What was it? Was it just something?
It was on Wattpad.
Oh, was it?
I was saying like not Wattpad.
Okay. I was like, was I wrong? Well, I don't remember what you said it was called, but you don't have to say it either.
You've asked me that before. You asked me that in front of a bunch of people, and I'm like, girl, I'm not telling you the name of my book.
My bad.
It has like almost 200,000 reads, and I'm like, this is like the worst writing I've ever.
That was not to out you. That was to like compliment you, because I was like, damn, I don't have anything that has reached that many people. Oh, that's really cool. But
yeah, my best friend read it, and she was like, she would always comment on every chapter. She'd be like, this was so good, and now I go back and I'm like, girl, why were you lying to me?
Yeah, but it was like, how old were you when you wrote that?
Probably like intermediate school, like middle school.
So like she probably like
she'll
related.
She'll watch this too.
Oh yeah, okay, good.
And I'd be like, shout out to you.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, did you have some questions you wrote down too?
I literally wrote so many questions actually, because you were like, your homework assignment is to come up with questions, and I was like, oh my gosh, no pressure. Let me come up with everything I can think of.
Yeah.
When did you start writing?
Okay, so. And then we can both answer these questions too, because I want to know your answers too. But I feel like for me, it was, so when I first decided I wanted to start writing a book was February 14th, 2020, before COVID. So this was not like a hobby that emerged out of COVID, I would like the record to state. And it was just like right before, I think. And I was interested, I think we were watching all the dystopian movies just with my family, like Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and like I think Divergent, which is a terrible movie series. Don't watch it.
Did you say Divergent?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The movies were so bad.
So bad.
I never read the books, but
You should read the books. The books are good.
I might have missed my window. I feel like I don't know.
No, I have them. I have them at the house. You can borrow them if you want.
Okay, maybe I will. But like, anyways, I can't tell a story without 800 side quests. So like, sorry, but I decided I wanted to start writing because I just really loved all those movies and I really wanted to write something that was also dystopian. So like my first book, so Emma and I traded like some chapters of our books and I was like, the stuff you're writing reminds me of the stuff, like the dystopian elements remind me of like when I had first started writing. So like, I think that's, I would say my senior year of high school. So that was like 4 years ago. I really started writing, but I think there had been other times in my life where I'd been like, I'm going to write a book, wrote one sentence. One of them was like, this is so stupid. I don't know why I'm saying this. But, like, one of them was, like, about a candy striper or something in, like, a hospital. I don't know a single thing about what that job entailed. Don't ask me where that interest came from. But I might cut this out because I'm just being annoying. But I just, like, have always kind of wanted to write one, and it's been in the back of my mind, but I didn't realize that was, like, something I could actually try to do. But yeah, anyways, well, what about you?
I think I've been writing literally as long as I can remember. Like, I would get my hand on any sheet of paper and start writing, like, the most random stories. Obviously, I never finished most of them. But I wrote a whole book when I was, like, 12. And I lost it. And I'm really sad that I lost it.
What did you write it on?
It was just, like, Word on my old computer.
Oh, no.
It was, like, a zombie apocalypse story because, like, I am obsessed with, like, the zombie apocalypse.
Did you watch The Last of Us? Did we talk about that? Because you like video games and stuff, too.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. That was a good show. I liked it.
The game is better, though.
Pedro Pascal. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of like where I guess I started writing. What other questions did you have? I see you have a lot, so I'll just ask.
Do you think you get like emotionally invested in your characters? Because I feel like I do, and I'm like, okay, it would be really good for the plot for them to die, to be honest, but I'm like, I can't do that to my characters.
I know. Okay, that's so interesting that you say that because I feel like we were just talking about this in my class that was right before this, but so in this book we're reading for class, it's called Story Genius by Lisa Crone. It's like a book about how to write stories, like Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It's kind of like a similar concept, but we're talking about like she said in one quote, it was like when people say write what you know, they don't mean like necessarily content wise, but they mean like emotionally. So write what you know emotionally is really important. So like kind of like I feel like the best characters are ones maybe you can't relate to, and like they're going on this adventure and they're swimming in the ocean with mythical creatures and stuff, but like you can't relate to them that way, but you can relate to them with feelings and stuff. And so like when you ask like am I emotionally invested, like 100%, because a lot of these emotions I like, it's not like a self-insert when you're writing emotions, I feel like, but it's just kind of like writing something that's real. So I think that's like I'm so invested that there's one character sometimes I'm like my main character, I'm like, what if I killed her? But I can't do it. But there's one character who I don't want to say, I'm talking like people know, like I've published this, like people would know. But like it's her cousin and he's just like, he's a really big character, but I'm like, I kind of want to kill him. Because I think it would add, like, it would move the plot in a really interesting way. But I hate when books, like, just kill people and it just is for no reason. That's the most irritating thing.
Can we talk about Finnick Odair from Hunger Games for a second?
What are your...
That's such an upsetting character death.
I'm just, like, every time a character dies, I'm like, my first thought is just, like, what did this add? This is not a spoiler because, like, this is just history, but in the Song of Achilles, obviously... spoiler, I guess, if you haven't read this book, but Patroclus dies first, and, like, it is so devastating and gut-wrenching, and that is one of my favorite books ever, even though, like, I don't really like to read sad books, because, like, why? But it was just so, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what did this death do? And, like, it did so much. It was the whole point of the book. Like, it's just, like, a tragedy, and it was, like, I don't know. I don't want to say so much about the book without spoiling it, but, like, it was I already spoiled the biggest part, but it was just so important to the story that this character died, and then, spoiler, Achilles dies later, you know? So I think, like, I don't know. I don't like it when they die. There's one book, I really, really love the first one. The second one, this one character dies, and I'm just like, okay, why? That was just to, like, for shock value, I feel like, or, like, to make me feel sad. And it's just irritating because I'm like, okay, well, what's the point of that if you're just trying to make me feel sad? Like, don't manipulate me like that.
So true.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I definitely do get invested. But yeah.
I think it's hard not to, especially when you, like, write this whole journey. Like, they go on this whole journey, and I'm like, these are, like, my babies now.
Yeah, yeah.
These are my children.
I would be just, like, I don't know. For purposes of, like, just this is how I know it's the wrong reason, because I want, like, the reaction of people being, like, in turmoil, and, like, that's why I was like, I kind of want to kill her, but the story doesn't call for that. Like, she needs to have a happy ending. It doesn't have to be like, oh, fairy tale, but, like, she needs to have a good ending for my story to, like, be full, I guess. But anyways, yeah, that was my answer to your question.
I know we were talking about this, but, like, what's your writing process? Like, when you're coming up with your chapters and stuff?
So for my English honors project, I'm working with my advisor, Angela Jackson Brown. Go read her books. Shout out to her. But I was kind of really struggling with plotting my chapters because, you know, I'm at Act 2. This is the part in, for example, in the Hunger Games where Katniss is just, like, in the arena doing things, and she just, like, I'm at that part. I'm like, how am I supposed to just do things now? There's so much free reign. There isn't, like, structured beats that really need to happen. There are, but, like, it's really, really open-ended. So something that I've kind of been working on with her is, like, how do I plot these chapters? And so obviously, like, every chapter needs to have, it needs to start differently than it ends. So, like, at least emotionally or, like, tone-wise. But something that, like, she suggested doing is, like, in the way she drafts her novels is kind of, like, writing, like, I guess she had it, like, in a list, so, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, like, and then she wrote a little bit, like, a paragraph, or for me, I just did sentences and bullet points because I was lazy, but, like, she wrote out, like, what each chapter needed to have in it, and, like, I tried that with mine, and at first it didn't really work. So other strategies suggested, and this is where it all kind of fell into place, I guess, was, like, starting backwards. So, like, you have to know what is going to happen at the end. So starting backwards and then kind of working each chapter back. And at first I was like, hell no, like, I can't do that. I don't know where the end is. But then I kind of broke it off into chunks. So I'm like, okay, this chunk, I'll work backward from there. This chunk, I'll work backward from there. And that worked for me. So I feel like that's kind of my process. I don't know if that answered your question at all, but, like, that's the answer I have. But that's kind of how I'm approaching things. I could talk forever, but I want to hear what you have to say, like, what your process is.
I think I try to do bullet points, as you've seen from my plan, but I'll just be, like, 2 words, and it'll be, like, fiery explosion. Like, that's all you know about the chapter. But half the time I just have to wing it. Like, I'll do, like, one sentence, and I'm like, let me just start writing. I'm tired of planning it.
There's, like, a thing, people call them plotters and pantsers, and, like, I feel like, so that's, like, what you described as, like, a pantser, like, flying by the seat of your pants, and as much as I would like to say that I could be a pantser, I am not. I have to be a plotter because what I've been doing is just, like, I'll write something and not know where it's going, and then later on I realize, oh shoot, like, I can't do that, so then I have to delete that chapter, and then it was just a huge waste of time. Don't ever delete anything is my word of advice. Like, keep it in a deleted folder, and then I have picked from that deleted folder so often when I'm kind of struggling for words. But that's something that, like, I don't know, I do, I guess.
Me over here, like, deleting whole paragraphs. Like,
well, like, it's okay. It's okay to do that, and I definitely do that, but just, like, keep them. They're gems. Like, they're valuable. Like, even if sometimes I'll just go through the deleted folder and I'm like, oh God, I wrote that. Like, that's terrible. But then it kind of, I'm like, okay, like, I can see how much I've grown. Like, it helps to know that if I can see that something in my past was bad, that means I've grown, right? Like, it has to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's my process a little bit.
Your writing is so good too.
Thanks.
I was filming a little Get Ready With Me, like, just for fun, and I was like, get ready with me to go be in my friend's podcast.
Oh, really?
And then I was like, I'll let you watch it. And I'm like, her writing is so good. And I'm just, like, talking about it.
Now you hype me up too much. I have such bad imposter syndrome. Like, I know I give my advisor probably a stress panic attack every time I talk to her because I'm just like, mine sucks. I mean, I don't say it like that, but I'm like, tell me what you think, like, rip it apart because I want it to be good. But now I'm like, please tell me what's wrong with it because there's no way that it's perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect, and I want it to be better. So kind of going into things with an open mind and, like, having a writing buddy too. Like, my friend Anastasia, who I've probably talked about because she's in my book club, but, like, for a while we traded chapters, and we haven't done it in a while, but, like, it was really valuable to kind of, like, see what she thought, and I'm like, turns out, like, I was doing like lay versus lie, like those words I was mixing up. So you learn things along the way. But now I feel like we're trading chapters, and it's really helpful to kind of, like, see what you think. And I want you to be critical of it, but you are not good.
I'm not critical. You're like, give me your feedback on this chapter, and I'll just be like, oh my god, it's amazing.
I appreciate that, but I'm like, you have to be lying.
But sometimes I literally, like, don't know what to, like, critique about it. You're a great editor, though. Like,
thanks.
I'm like, Olivia's my editor.
Literally, I will be. So I'm applying to grad schools, and I'm applying to some MFA programs. So I'm a senior now, and I'm applying to some MFA programs, but I'm also applying to publishing schools. So, like, I don't know, I'm not going to go through the list, but, like, that's also something I'm really interested in. I love editing. So when my sister was applying to, like, for a job, or it was her cover letter or something, I was, like, reading her letter, and I was like, just because she asked me, and I was like, I guess fine, I don't really want to do it, but, like, as I was reading, I was like, I actually love doing this, like, I love editing, and it's kind of fun. So I feel like that's something that's definitely sticking out to me. I first and foremost, like, my dream is to be an author, but I can't just do that, unfortunately. So I also want to work in the publishing world. It's not like it's, like, one or the other, but, like, I want to do both. I think it would be really, really cool to work on books and then be like, yeah, I helped bring this, like, child of literature, this packet of paper into the world. Like, I just think it's so cool. I don't know. What do you want to do with you're interested in screenwriting, right? So what do you want to do with that?
I think it'd be fun to, like, just write the scripts for, like, those big, like, dystopian movies. Like, if you can't tell, I'm obsessed with, like, dystopian stuff. I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be cool to go work in the industry for years and then, like, come back and, like, be a professor and, like, teach how to screenwrite or, like, do creative writing or something like that, because I think it's so fun. You should definitely be, like, a creative writing teacher.
I would love that too. That's like my second calling, I guess. And I can do all of it. Because a lot of
life is long. You have lots of time.
That's what I'm saying. Because, like, a lot of authors I'll see in the back of their book, it's like, also teaches at this college. I was like, you do? Really? Like, tell me where. I want to go to take your class. Like, I just think it would be cool. I really want to get an MFA or, like, a master's in publishing, one or the other. My top choice is definitely an MFA, but, I mean, I'll take anything I can get. Like, I'm interested in just working with books. That's what I want to do. So I think, like, I would be happy with a lot of those options.
I wish you could come be my creative writing teacher.
I know. I'll have a college degree by the end of this, so, like, at least I'll get a job somewhere. But, like, I just want to work with books. That's the main thing.
You really give off, like, librarian vibes, to be honest.
I also applied for library science master's too at IU, but I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like wherever the cards fall. Like, that's what I was meant to do, because I didn't apply for a single thing I didn't think I would be unhappy doing. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Who knows? I feel like that's not how you should apply to grad school. You should be focused in what you want to apply for, but I was not. So
just apply for everything.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, do you have another question you'd like to ask? And then maybe we can, like, after that we can wrap it up a little bit. But yeah, what's your question?
Ooh, okay. I have so many. How do I pick just one? What do you think is, like, the hardest part of writing?
Oh, boy. I would say... This turned into, like, an interview. But I want you to answer.
You. I'll answer first if you want.
Yeah, you answer.
I definitely would say, like, writer's block is the biggest challenge. That and just, like, comparing yourself to some of, like, the authors that you have grown up loving. You're like... because sometimes I'll write and then I'll, like, read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, my writing is, like, nowhere as good as, like, these authors. So just, like, try and have that confidence in yourself, and definitely just writer's block.
Yeah. I honestly might say, like, the same thing. I think I have really, really intense imposter syndrome, but also, like, a weird confidence at the same time, because I'm, like, my teacher keeps telling me, and she's kind of where I get a lot of my confidence from, but she keeps telling me, like, I wouldn't just tell you it's good for no reason. I would tell you critiques. And now every time I turn in a chapter, every 2 weeks, and we meet, she's like, I don't really have very much to say. Like, the way she did in the beginning, she was, like, editing them a lot. But now she keeps telling me, like, I've hit a stride. And, like, this is not me bragging, but, like, it feels good to kind of... She told me, like, yesterday, I was, like, telling her basically all the things about, like, me being imposter syndrome, just, like, usual I talk about. But she was, like, she told me, she's like, I think you've found your voice in writing, and I think she said you didn't stumble upon it, you found it. So, like, I think I have a weird balance between imposter syndrome and confidence right now, and it's, like, a weird space to be in. But I would agree with you also, writer's block. Like, what am I supposed to write? How does it bring value to the story I want to tell? But I guess just, like, kind of in the class we were talking about before, every single instance, every line has to be moving the story forward. It has to bring value. Otherwise, it's a waste. So kind of thinking about it in terms like that is easier to think about. So I'm kind of, like, trying to think more about, like, writing characters in a way that's, like, how do I show them, you know, a character gets some bad news and, like, they go pace on the floor. Like, obviously that's just, like, an easy example, but, like, the things that they do instead of maybe, like, she was shocked. Like, you don't really say stuff like that. You show what they do, you don't tell. And that's just, like, obvious, but I'm struggling a lot with that and kind of just, like, info dumpy.
I think also just sharing your writing for the first time can be, like, so scary. Like, I know you were like, let me read your chapter. And I was like, no.
No matter what, it's just, like, I'm not going to think it's bad.
That was, like, my biggest fear. But
I just am not.
You just have to. You just have to let people read it. Because, like, you read mine and, like, you gave me so many ideas for my book. And it was, like, the most helpful thing ever.
I would never genuinely think that it's bad. The only thing I would think is just, like, oh, like, it's supposed to be a first draft the way mine is too. Mine, I hope you thought was, like, not a first, like, it's supposed to be a first draft, you know? Like, there always should be more that you can do. And, like, honestly, I'm terrified that I'm never going to feel like my book is done. Because there's not a single chapter.
I sent it to my advisor, but then I'm going to change, like, 5 more things about it.
Every single time I send something to her, I immediately, I'm like, damn it, I wanted to change that. Like, that isn't as good. I know. But yeah, I would say all of those things are definitely hard. And I think everybody struggles with, like, feeling like theirs isn't good. But there's a girl who recently wrote this book called Powerless, or, like, Chloe Gong.
Is that good? I really want to read that book.
She's awesome too, and I met her in person, and she's just cool. And they're just almost my age. Like, Chloe Gong's a little older than me, but I think the other girl, I think Lauren Asher is her name, who wrote Powerless, is my age. And it's just so cool because I'm like, both of their books were in New York Times bestsellers, and I'm like, that could be me, you know, and that could be you, and they're our same age. So I just think it's really cool to think that, like, people are doing it younger and younger. So I'm trying not to be, like, too imposter syndrome-y. But yeah.
I think a good, like, wrap-up question, if you're ready to wrap up, would be, like, what advice would you give to, like, newer writers or younger writers? And I know I want to go first so you don't steal what I say.
Okay.
Because I literally wrote it down.
Okay, good.
I think you can always edit your book, but you can never edit a blank page. So even if you don't think it's good, like, just write it down.
Is that because I gave you that advice?
I don't know if you gave me that advice.
That was what I was going to say exactly.
That's why I had to say it first. I was like, that's the only thing I can think of, so I have to say it first.
No, okay. So, it seems obvious, and it seems just, like, duh, no shit. Like, if you don't write anything, there's going to be nothing to edit. There's going to be nothing to publish. But I think, so when I went to this conference in Chicago with Anastasia, I've definitely talked about this before, but I asked Chloe Gong, God, I was the first person to go up to her table and meet her, so I'm, like, at this whole thing. That's my flex. But I asked her, I was like, what advice do you have for someone who's trying to write a book? And she said, you just have to write it. And it just seems just so obvious, but, like, I'm starting to write forward now. I'm not going back and editing other chapters I've written in the past because I will never finish my book. I've stopped. Once I write a chapter and, like, my teacher's like, good, my advisor's like, okay, good, I am just moving forward. And I've never made so much progress like this in my entire life because I listened to Chloe Gong and my advisor. So that's definitely, I feel like, the best advice I can give from someone who is not published a book, from someone who does not have a college degree and is unpublished. So, like, don't take this advice as
Not
you will,
yet,
but
not yet.
if you want to believe two published authors, Chloe Gong and Angela Jackson Brown, I would say you can't. There's nothing you can ever do but just get out the ideas, and it's gonna be terrible the first try, but like you just kind of like bleh on the page. Like you can just go back and edit it, but like how are you ever gonna be able to finish if you just don't have anything there? That's great advice, and that is like a good question. I guess like I always like to end this with a book recommendation, or you can end it with like, I don't know, writing advice recommendation. I don't know. You do what you want, and then I'll give mine.
I have to go first. That's so much pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I already mentioned the Divine Rivals series.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the first one, read the second one.
I haven't read the second one yet.
Or there's this book. It's called Ward D. By I forget her name.
What is it?
Ward D. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
You should read it.
Okay, that's
buy a Kindle.
Oh yeah.
Read more books. That's the best advice you can give, just to keep reading.
That's actually a good piece of advice too. Like you have to just read like a lot of books, and that's how you can learn about how to write books because it's easier to be a reader, not a writer. But anyways, I guess my recommendation would be I'm reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes right now, and it's good. Like, it's a solid book, and I love the idea that the main character can just be evil and corrupt, and like,
we all love him.
And yeah, that has got to be so hard to write. How do you write a character that is bad, but like you are following him?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you don't like condone his actions. Anyways, I could just talk about it forever. I talked about it in the last episode.
Do a whole podcast just about Hunger Games.
Abby and I did that last episode, so I can't do that again. But the book I'm reading right now is the newest Crescent City book, the third one. Crazy things are happening in it. I am not as much of a fan of the Crescent City as like Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses, but the third one just came out, and I want to be Sarah J. Maas so badly. Like, her life looks so cool. She was just on the Kelly Clarkson show. But anyways, it's pretty good so far. I feel like that's what I would recommend. The third one is like, I'm liking it better than the other ones because like other things are happening. I'm not going to spoil it because it's just crazy the things that are happening. But I guess that would be my recommendation right now. But yeah, I don't know.
I think try to write every day. It's like something I'm trying to do.
Oh yeah.
Just write every day, even if it's just like 5 words.
Yeah.
Just get something down.
Exactly. You can't make progress if you don't write. But yeah, thanks so much, Emma, for coming on to the show. Me. I'm so glad we got to talk about writing, and like I got to finally like spill my guts about all my thoughts about writing. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.